Yes, students, in history we will start the new chapter, and this is the chapter number 8, Civilizing the Native, Educating the Nation. Listen, student, in the earlier chapter, we have seen how British rules affect the Rajas and Nawabs, peasant and tribals. Listen, students, in previous chapter, we all have discussed about the policy of Britishers. Actually, they implemented their own rules and regulation each and every aspects in India. Okay, listen, students. After that, Britishers now they want to also change our civilization and educating the nations. Listen, student. They want to educate our nations, but not for our purpose. For their own purpose, they wanted to educate the nation, means us. Listen, students, as we know very well from the history, our mother language is Hindi. But students, when Britishers they came here, now they were facing the problems in the term of languages also. How? Listens, they had appointed so many employees from the India. Their workers are Indians. Most of the soldiers now are Indians. But they were facing the problems in the term of communicating. When they want to communicate to each others like laborers, employee and soldiers, so now they had the problems. So now they started to changing in our culture. They tried to taught to Indians English. Okay, that's why after that student they also made a rule that Indians they need to get the what they need to learn English. In this chapter, students, we will try and understand what implication it had for the lives of students. For the British in India wanted not only to conquest and control over the revenue, they also felt that they had a culture mission. Cultural mission means, student, here now they wanted to change ourselves. Listen, students, as we know very well, Indian culture and civilization is one of the best culture of the world. Still, Britishers, they wanted to change it according to their way. Student, listen, you know very well that in last chapters in history, also we all have studied that revenue, they collected taxes from us. Okay, Indian, they had to pay the taxes for the Britishers. Their own lands, Indian, they had their own lands, but still they are growing crops for the Britishers. Indigo is the crops by which Britishers they forced to Indian grow it. Why? Because with the help of indigo crops, they make colors, designs, and they apply those colors on the clothes also. But student, indigo is the cloth that affected to the lands. One time, if they were grow the indigo crops, after 2 or 3 years that land is useless, means you are not able to grow any kinds of crops in that land. So already Indians they were facing the problems. Now one more policy that had implemented by the Britishers, and that one is the civilizing the native, educating the nations. Now students, they had to civilize the natives, change their customs and values. What changes were to be introduced? How were Indians to be educated, civilized and made into what the Britishers believed were good subject? The Britishers could find no simple answers to these questions. They continued to be debated for many decades. Listen, students, really that is debated for us because why they had made these rules for the Indians. Now we will study how the British saw education. Listen, students, let us look at what the British thought and did and how some of the ideas of education that we now take for granted evolved in that last 200 years. In this process of this inquiry, we will also see how Indians reacted to British ideas. Okay, now students, also we will discuss about the 1 minute, students, just wait. There is some technical issue now. Okay, now student, listen. The traditional of Orientalism. In 1783, a person named William Jones arrived in Calcutta. In 1783, a person named William Jones arrived in Calcutta. He had an appointment as a junior judge at the Supreme Court that the company had set up. Company means a student here, East India Company. They set up judiciary systems in India also. So William Jones, they arrived in Supreme Court. There is a junior judge. In addition to being an expert in the law, Jones was a linguist. Linguist means a student, a person who knows and studies several languages. Linguist means knowledge of several languages. He had studied Greek and Latin at Oxford, knew French and English, had picked up Arabic from a friend, and had also learned Persian. At Calcutta, student, he began spending many hours a day with the Pandit who taught him the subject knowledge of students' Sanskrit language, grammar, and poetry. Soon he was studying ancient Indian texts on law, philosophy, religion, politics, morality, arithmetic, medicine, and the other sciences. William Jones. About William Jones, students, we are discussing about now. William Jones. Okay, he had different language knowledge, has different languages. He was a linguist person. Okay, Jones discovered that his interests were shared by the many British officials living in Calcutta at the time. Englishmen like Henry Thomas Shelbrooke and Nathaniel Hall were also busy discovering in the ancient history. Listen, students. Now see, we will discuss the remaining contents of this chapter in the next video, students. Listen, student, up to here we come to know that actually they want to change in our civilization just for their own benefit. They didn't wanted to change us. They wanted to change their way of work. Why? That's why, student, they trained to Indians the languages of English also, because now they were able to communicate with the laborers, employees, and other workers easily. Now, students, whenever they have to pass any kinds of messages, easily they can pass through the Indians. So, students, they implemented English language in our country also. It is the gifted of English. Okay, student, in next chapter, in the next content, we will discuss about Lord Macaulay was a person who has just implemented English in the whole India. And right now also, students, you know very well, English is an international language. That's why, student, we wanted to learn English. That's why, student, because English is an international language. Okay, student, the remaining contents we will discuss in the next chapter. Thank you, student. Have a nice day.